truly funny. One thing I noticed that despite us getting all of these John Wick films in recent years, and it seems as if they are just entertaining the audience. I have not, to be completely fair, seen the most recent one. I've seen the other three, haven't seen the most recent one. But, I've had nothing but good things to say about the John Wick series by any means. That was pretty much it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And people that I trust in terms of their opinion on movies and stuff, they've had nothing, at least mostly good things to say about it. We look right here. Actually, let me pull it up over here. And we check out the box office of this past weekend. I didn't cover this. I was getting in my other room, wasn't doing a whole lot of videos, but now I'm back. And, that opening weekend, a $73.5 million weekend. It talks about the franchise record, but you got to keep it in context with inflation and all that other stuff. But looking at how the next week and everything turned out for this film, well, it's entertaining people. It's going to make some money. And you don't hear people say anything about action movie fatigue or anything. There will always be action films. It's one thing that I noticed here. And yes, I have to kind of take it back to what we see with Marvel and DC right now, where, there's a bunch of films that may be coming out. You see it on TV and stuff as well with their shows, be it in Disney Plus or what CW was doing with the DC properties and all of that. And the same thing can be said about action-based, definitely all this cop stuff, action-based, so the TV shows and movies that were being released on a regular. And that's not to say every single one was a hit, but there was no excuse of, well, there's action movie fatigue. Noticed how that never was a thing. I don't know if you guys picked that up, but I certainly picked that up. It never was a thing. It wasn't brought up. It seems to only be brought up when you look at some of the superhero genre, which is all that is. It's an action film, by the way. Well, I guess most of them are. It's just in the superhero genre. And now all of a sudden you get superhero fatigue. It's almost as if that's not actually the problem. These characters have been around for so long and we've never had these issues. And now all of a sudden we have these issues. Yeah, there may be a increase in volume, but there's a decrease in quality. And that's why you're hearing people say that. I think what people do is definitely the defenders of, let's say, the Marvel Cinematic Universe and its poor quality. They don't want to concede that maybe their ideological enemies were wrong, or just people that maybe don't see it the same way that they do are incorrect. So in order to cope with that, what they do is they say, well, it's superhero fatigue. And that rids basically everybody that was part of the production and the quality of the production itself in these movies and shows, or the lack of enthusiasm or all that. They get rid of that because it's basically, well, the audience just doesn't like it. Or isn't going to see it, or isn't as interested in it just because of the genre. When no, it's not that. It's that the stuff sucks. Or at minimum, it's mundane. It's not really getting people enthusiastic about it. And that's being showed with like Ant-Man. And you saw that was a disaster. That lost the money. And it was supposedly hey, we're coming out swinging with this big opening, best in franchise history and all that. And then it just couldn't hold. And I believe it did it make under $500 million, if I'm not mistaken. It did make money. So that's what happens. You don't entertain the audience. You don't make money. It's not fatigue. It's just that it sucks. People aren't interested in it. But definitely as of recent, you see those outliers. Movie will pop up. People will be intrigued by Top Gun Maverick and all that. And people say, I want in on it. They go buy it and it makes all of this money. And, people saying that, remember people used to blame it on COVID. I think they're finally over that. They're finding new things to sort of blame. And really, it's just a lot of Hollywood. It's not just with the superhero genre. They've lost their mystique. They've lost their, why they do things. People picked up on it and they go without it. Hollywood's still in trouble, make no mistake. But the Outliers show and the alternative creations show that it's not that people don't want to be entertained. It's precisely the opposite. People do want to be entertained. It's just that the people that, let's say, are where the money's flowing, right, the established channels, they aren't giving people what it is they want. So stop making excuses for the poor quality that's being put out and call it for what it is, really. And in fact, it doesn't change until, well, people start really doing that and being honest with themselves, no matter who's looked at as the correct person in the party or the correct side on a given subject. If it's bad, it's bad. If it's not getting people enthusiastic, that's just what it is. You identify the problem, you fix it, and then you make money. Basic economics. Wherever you're viewing the content, I appreciate you. If you enjoyed it, you may be interested in my comic book company, Rippaverse Comics. Our first book and campaign, ISOM #1, brought in $3.7 million with tens of thousands of satisfied customers. Visit Rippaverse.com to check out our store and stay up to date with the latest campaigns from one of the hottest new comic book companies. Also, my first big step towards a parallel economy was the development of my personal website, ericdjuly.com. This entirely replaced my Patreon. Now, if you enjoy this content, please consider becoming a member over at the website. We have an ever-expanding list of perks for various membership tiers, a forum, and a phone app. Some of these perks will even benefit you if you're fans of the Rippaverse. Anyway, I appreciate you so much for being a supporter and or customer. I even got a little love for my haters.